Life choices.
Okay. Hi, we're live now. Cyrus is lecturing his chat.
It's true.
So like he's been talking this whole time. I remained silent. I didn't say a word. I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
Hi everybody. Hello Nazis in Cyrus's chat.
It's such a weird way to say it, but it's true. There are a few of them there.
You know what? I have never been happier that I cannot see your chat on these streams.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can just like make fun of them, and they can't get back at me because I can't see a word that they're saying.
They can't.
So how you been?
Interesting. I'm trying to work myself back into my routines now that I'm not against my will traveling across the entirety of the United States again. Now that that's done, I can start, you know, I've been going to the pool to swim, I've been going back to the gym, and we've been trying desperately to get Saki's PC rebuilt, but we just found out that the PC it will not boot because the motherboard is fried. Apparently the salt content in ramen.
My chat is very much miffed that you're a buff dude.
I'm sure there's some people in my chat that are disappointed as well. As I pointed out, I won't be using this model too often, but it is going to be part of my rotation.
It's a good model. It's just weird seeing you without... Weird. I mean, you still got boobs in this one. Was it a different kind of boobs?
Yeah. Although I can do this now.
Oh, yeah. Eye crossing.
Hi, Rhino.
And hey, do you control that with something similar to like what deep sea submarines are controlled with?
No, I control it with just my eyes.
Oh, you can
much less precise.
It's actually like tracking your actual eyeballs.
Yes.
So how do you make them? You can make your eyes go apart from each other with your real eyes?
The way it works is when I'm looking left and right normally, the eyes are being tracked as they normally would with the tracking software. But the googly eyes are programmed to throw both of them in opposite directions no matter where I throw them. So if I look to the left, they go cross-eyed. If I look to the right, they go on the opposite ends of the earth.
I don't know. I feel like you could do that with a Logitech controller that controls submarines. So
it's funny, I was making fun of that initially, and then I realized that
it's actually pretty standard.
Yeah, it's very standard.
Like, not that one, but like apparently the US military is one of the biggest purchasers of like Xbox controllers.
Yep. Turns out when people are trained at birth to use them, it's very easy to move that over to actual military vehicles. But
so you're saying Ender's Game is real?
I mean, yeah.
Naram to put sent 420 and said money rhino.
What was that book that was Ender's Game, but from the perspective of one of the side characters? I forget what it was.
Oh, I don't remember. I did read that one. It was like Mouse or Rat or something was his name.
Yeah.
It's like some street urchin kid that was also a genius. So the author of those books is like
Ender's Shadow.
Sure. So the author of those books is like a super devout religious cult type guy, and I was very disappointed when I heard that.
Yeah, that's just like when you find out that the person who made whatchamacallit, Starship Troopers, as much as the movie is very obviously a parody of everything that they're going over, the whole like, yes, service guarantees citizenship and all that. When you find out that the actual author believed all of that shit wholeheartedly, and when you read the book plays it straight as if this is all a good thing, whereas the movie is very much like, no, this is all a goddamn joke.
Orson Scott Card is the author. Yes. I remember Orson Scott Card. I remember finding out, like, I listened to the audiobook, and it was one of those, like, I'm not terribly interested in the story at first, but, like, the guy's voice who's reading it is incredibly pleasant, so I'm just going to listen to it. And then I got into it, and it was actually, I think it was the sequel to Ender's Game that I listened to first, where it, like, starts off on the distant planet. And, yeah, it was... I got into it, so I listened to Ender's Game, and I actually like the sequel better than Ender's Game because, you know, it's not actually that Latter-day Saints. He's a Mormon.
It's kind of how I got with the Dresden Files. The first couple books in the series are but they're narrated by James Marsders, and James Marsders has a really pleasant voice to listen to.
So one of J.R.R. Tolkien's like compendium books that is not really a story, but is like a whole bunch of background detail for Middle-earth. I forget which one it was. It wasn't the Silmarillion, but it was one of the other ones. And it had like kind of a plot, but it was mostly just informational. Boring as fuck, but it was narrated by Christopher Lee. So I listened to that whole goddamn thing because, man, that man's voice is amazing.
Yeah, I know. What was it? So there's two versions of the Harry Potter books you can get in audiobook form. And
yes.
One of them's of it. The Jim Dale ones I don't like as much. I grew up with the video games, and he's the narrator for the video games. So like there's a familiarity with his voice because I'm like, yeah, this is the voice who narrated me playing Chamber of Secrets. Cool. But then Stephen Fry does the voice for the other version of the books that you can get in the UK, as opposed to the ones you can get here in North America. Oh,
Vandalia, that hurts, and that sounds like... Actually, I think I did do that once back when I used to stream video games. Vandalia says, just got done recording an hour of video game for a Let's Play, only to discover my voice wasn't recorded, so here's for a fun, distracting time. I think there actually was one instance where I muted my microphone for a sec while I was doing something, and when I came back, I forgot to unmute, and there was like a good 20 minutes of just silence. And the like 5 people that were in the chat were all like, "You're muted, you're muted, you're muted," but I didn't look at the chat for that 20 minutes.
Oh, yep. Audiobooks are... I found that I don't know if it's undiagnosed ADHD or what that prevents me from sitting down and reading regular books anymore. It used to be a lot easier, but I think it was because I was reading them to distract myself from other things.
Yeah.
But now it's almost all audiobooks.
Yeah, same here.
Sometimes it feels like I find a book that I've really wanted to read, but the person who's doing the voice for the book is god awful. It doesn't happen often, but some of the older Warcraft books that I read were a struggle to get through, because as they were going through just like world building stuff, there wasn't a pleasant voice to listen to. It was just like old crackly cassette audio, and the dude's just—it's like a dude reading a wiki page almost. I'm just like, oh my god, come on, please.
Have you seen
redo this?
Have you seen the YouTube video of like Gilbert Gottfried doing 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes, I have. And then her cloaca.
It's so good, so good.
It is amazing.
Anyway, I had something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember.
Is this like last week's? You had something you wanted to say that you didn't remember?
Oh God, yeah, no, I don't remember that either.
Week.
I don't remember that either.
That's helpful.
Anyway, we've got some video from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, is this the?
No, this is not the. That comes later. I do have that as well.
Okay.
This is, well. Okay, I assume that you were about to ask about the one that you sent to me.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's not that. That's later. This is the other one that everybody knows about from this week.
Okay, let's take a look here.
Lyndon B. Johnson is very similar to Joe Biden. How are they the same? They're both Democrat socialist. Lyndon B. Johnson was the majority leader in the Senate. Does that sound familiar? He was vice president to Kennedy. Joe was vice president to Obama.
Okay, first up, we're going to get to the meat of this. We're going to get to the meat of this, but like starting off with like, oh, they both held two of the same position. That is, what a coincidence. Like, what
a coincidence. I also worked at a McDonald's.
Well, also, like, wasn't Lyndon B. Johnson one of his claims to fame that like he held every single federal government position it's possible to hold before he became president or something like that?
Not to mention, so one of the most common paths to the presidency involves getting into the vice presidency early so that you gain notoriety.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing that people try to do. It's one of the reasons why people think that Pence is going to try for a presidential run in the future, because Vice President Biden.
Didn't he try this year? But like he tried to be like, hey, we need to support Ukraine, and Tucker Carlson was like, why would you say that? And everybody booed him off the stage.
Yeah. Look, it's when you try to be the sane person for the GOP. Yeah, it doesn't work out for you, because that's not their marketability is in insanity now. It's what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a bit of a lengthy clip, and I just want to play the whole thing so that we can get the full context for what comes next. Okay. Because I have another clip after this.
He was appointed as the president after JFK was assassinated. Then he was elected.
That's not what happened to Joe Biden.
Big socialist programs were the Great Society. The Great Society were big government programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty.
Urban problems, she means helping black people.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bad thing to her. Helping black people is bad. Actually, all these things are bad to her, but they're all actually good things.
Transportation, Medicare, Medicaid.
Okay, the way she said that with such disdain, like, remember when Joe Biden got the Republican Party to clap for keeping Medicare and Medicaid?
I mean, like, considering that half of their constituents would die without it.
Like, I don't like Joe Biden, but, like, he is not the doddering old fool that the Republicans make him out to be. He's, like, he knows what he's doing in there sometimes.
He's just very bad at marketing himself.
We'll get to that.
Food stamps and welfare, the Office of Economic Opportunity, and big labor and labor unions. Now, LBJ had the
labor unions bad.
Yeah, no, labor unions good.
Society, whatever. But Joe Biden had Build Back Better, and he still is working on it. The largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete. Socialism.
See, she says all these good things about Joe Biden, then finishes with the word socialism, as if that automatically makes everything bad.
Wasn't FDR one of the most universally praised presidents in American history?
Yeah, but there's a thing around in libertarian circles where FDR didn't actually end the Great Depression. That's just a myth. It was actually the president who came before him implemented all the common sense policies that just kind of they were starting to end the Great Depression. Then FDR came in and implemented stuff that actually made the Depression last longer, and then it went away, and also under FDR.
Isn't it so weird that people are having to tighten their belts more now as more and more companies monopolize, which is one of the things FDR did a really good job at stopping?
Also, like, there's lots to complain about with Lyndon B. Johnson. He was not a good person. Like, he was the president that would he would force people to follow him into the bathroom so he could flash his penis at them while he was talking to them. He like, there's a story of one reporter, while he was taking a shit, he insisted on the reporter following him in to talk to him while he's taking a shit, and he like made him turn around and like, oh, step backwards so you can get closer, and he like kept closer until he fell into his lap while he was taking a shit. Like, Lyndon B. Johnson was a piece of shit, but he did good policies. He signed the Civil Rights Act.
He just wanted you to be on his penis.
Yeah, like, there's lots to complain about with him. His record on civil rights ain't one of them.
Meanwhile, we are now $32 trillion in debt. With record high homelessness, 40-year record inflation, we're losing the U.S. dollar as the #1 world currency.
Okay,
we lost it under Trump.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, one of the reasons the U.S. dollar is not respected as well as it used to be, like, globally, is because the rest of the world looks at the clown show that is the Republican Party, which represents a good chunk of the population, and are like, I don't trust that. It's not because of Joe Biden and his boring policies, but like,
we're losing.
Okay, whatever. She actually gets to some stuff that could be considered bad. A lot of it, like the true bits of it, a lot of that can be traced back to Trump. A lot of it is like decontextualized. So like, yeah, inflation is really, really high right now, but inflation in the United States is actually significantly lower than a lot of countries in a lot of the rest of the world. Canada is one of the good ones as well, but like, there are some places where their inflation rate is like 10%. Canada and the US is like 3%. So it's like, this inflation thing is a global thing, and Canada and the US have been pretty insulated from it compared to the rest of the world.
Especially if you consider the fact that, okay, the United States, we were at like, what, 9-10% inflation rate literally just a couple months ago, but now we are sitting at 3%. Like,
yeah, so like, there is still inflation, but it's not increasing quite as rapidly. Now, if only we had big labor unions or something to make sure that employees got paid enough to survive in inflation. Okay, anyway, that's enough of that MTG, but so given that she said all those good things about them, this was Joe Biden's response to that.
Joe Biden had the largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete. Programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, labor unions. And he still is working on it.
Stop! I said stop! Why are you not stopping? I pressed the stop button.
Just use all of her words.
Yeah, you just had her narrate his campaign ad for her. Now, not to take too much credit, I'm not saying that Joe Biden used that as a campaign ad because I suggested it. What I am saying is that I suggested that he use it for a campaign ad at 9:06 in the morning on yesterday morning, and
oh my God, it's a conspiracy.
And then at 6:04 p.m. the same day, Joe Biden used it as a campaign ad.
The American government is in cahoots with the Canadian streamers.
Yeah, so I'm not
their political campaigns.
I'm not saying that the only reason he did this is because I suggested it. I'm just saying is that I suggested it and then he did it.
It's definitely a Dark Brandon moment.
Yeah, Dark Brandon strikes again, says Dr. Tisha. Naramdaput says, I think John 73 John actually called it too. Yeah, I'm sure I wasn't the only person. I'm joking about this as if I might think that there's a chance that they did it because of me. No, they didn't do it because of me. Like, it was so obvious.
And I'm just imagining all of the freaking, like, everything Marjorie said there, as soon as it gets said, somebody in the social media team for Biden is just sitting there like, quick, can somebody Photoshop Biden as a Chad Wojak?
Yeah.
Did you do all these things?
So this is why I kind of went like, when you were like, oh, Joe Biden doesn't know how to market himself. I'm like,
So let me rephrase.
I know
that.
there's a lot to not like about the guy, and he does mess up quite a bit.
There was a moment where he fucked up things a lot for railroad unions a couple years ago, and it was only recently that I found out that actually he had been slow rolling some programs to help them out in response to how they got screwed over, admittedly, by a lot of the stuff he did. My friend Inane Dragon pointed it out to me, and I was just like, how come I didn't hear about this when it's my job to have heard about this? It's just like, I don't know, dude's bad at marketing the shit he does. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to, which button did I set this up for? There we go. That button. So this is the title article of the stream tonight. These are America's 10 worst states to live in. So this is CNBC's annual ranking of state business climates.
I'm just going to go ahead and guess Texas, Georgia, and Florida all rank.
I don't know about Georgia, but the other two, yes. Which that would be weird if Georgia. So now, to be fair, this is not like a ranking of just straight up quality of life. This is a ranking of like how appealing is the state for businesses that are considering where to locate themselves. And as part of that, it's like, does the state have the kind of things that my workers are going to be needing, like childcare? Is the state appealing to workers? Like, can I just like cast a wide net to hire as many people as possible? Like, I want the most talented people, so I don't care if they're LGBTQ or black or indigenous or whatever. I just want to hire the best people. So is the state welcoming to all these people, so I'm not going to have to like go hunting for the best, they will come to me, sort of thing. So like it kind of ticks off the this is a good state to live in box, but it's like through the lens of businesses wanting to choose that state to locate in. So it's not necessarily an accurate ranking, but it's, you know, Republicans are always talking about how they're pro-business anyway, so like this is the one that they should be looking at to begin with. So it says this year, life, health, and inclusion is one of the study's 10 categories of competitiveness, and this year, with the nationwide worker shortage so severe, the category is taking on increased importance in their methodology. So, like, because there's a worker shortage, this is more important because companies are more desperate to hire people, so they're not going to be as discriminatory as they might have been in the past.
Yeah. Not
really the lens you want to do inclusiveness from, but better than nothing. Anyway, so here we go. Casting the widest possible net for workers means not turning anyone away, so we consider inclusiveness in state laws by measuring protections against discrimination as well as voting rights. And so now, this is something that you'll see from Florida and Texas as they talk about how many people are moving there. So yeah, they must still be a good place to live. So this person says, you still see people going to Florida and Texas, but you begin to see deterioration over time. Site selectors will tell you these issues matter when it comes time for businesses making tough decisions. So it's on a bit of a lag. So like, yeah, people are still going there now, but like as time goes on and businesses are deciding whether or not to open in Florida and Texas or whatever, they will be deciding more against it, and so that will drag off. But also, like Florida in particular, a lot of people that are moving to Florida, it's the snowbirds. It's not people that are looking for work. It's people that are looking for a warm spot to retire. So like,
also a lot of businesses that are opening up in any state, they're working off of contracts that have been written up and processed, and a lot of times are a couple years in the making. It's very hard to just go, all right, we're going to stop everything we're doing right now just because DeSantis is doing a dumb fuck this particular week. Like, once you've got the construction permits and the zoning done, it's kind of hard to do that in a lot of scenarios.
Luigi Potter says Georgia is the best state at avoiding lists. We hit number 11 or 6 on lists all the time. That's a good point. That's a good point. Anyway, number 10 on the list is Florida. So this is
Stop woke.
yeah. So this is going from like this is the bottom 10, but like number 10 is not like the last one. It's so this is the best of the worst. Florida is the best state to live in of the 10 worst. So yeah, there's not really much I want to go into in here, but like they lead the nation just about every measure of migration, but rated strictly on life, health, and inclusion. Florida can be a dreary place. So its strengths are air quality, childcare, and worker protections. Really in Florida? That's one of the states where you can get $2.17 an hour if you work a tipped position.
I mean, that's Rhino. That's the United States.
No, there are states where the minimum wage, even for tipped workers, is higher, is like 4, 5, 6. Like it's still pathetic, but it's not $2.15 or whatever it is. Weaknesses are inclusiveness and reproductive rights.
We have a federal tipped wage, and almost every state goes by the federal tipped wage.
I'm sure I've looked that up before. I'm sure I've looked that up before, and I'm pretty sure there's only like it's mostly the Republican states that go with the federal one, and that's the $2.15 or $2.17 an hour. I forget what it is. But when it disappears into your tax as a clock. Yeah. Sure. Anyway, their weaknesses are inclusiveness and reproductive rights, because it's Florida. It's Ron DeSantis. He's single-handedly, well, not single-handedly. Florida's been a bit of a shit show for ages. It's weird that trying to get my cat to go away, and okay, she's being fun. It's weird. I know you made the comment about worker protections, but considering it's Florida's the state that has Disney that doesn't have a union, whereas the Disney union does exist in California. It's also, as far as I remember, I feel like having a union is more protected than not. I mean, I have had my fair share of bad experiences with unions, but like historically speaking, unions are what gave workers the rights to have a weekend. That's why I'm saying lunch breaks. It's weird that worker protections is one of the strengths when even like the Disney Corporation doesn't get a union in Florida. Okay. I thought you were saying I thought you were saying it makes sense that worker protections are a thing because they're the ones that didn't decide to unionize. Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, number 9 is Arkansas, which for the longest time as a Canadian, I thought that there were 2 states. One was called Arkansas, the other was called Arkansas. Because like, Arkansas. Why would you pronounce the S at the end as a W? It's not Arkansas, it's Arkansas. What the fuck? Why is this one Arkansas and this one Arkansas? That's like the skit where it's like, hey, how do you spell this one? This is tomb, right? Okay, how do you spell this one? Coom? No, it's comb. That sounds like a Ryan George thing. Is it Ryan George? It is. Okay. I'm glad I guessed that one. I'm not sure if I've seen that, but that sounds like the kind of thing he would do. And so a few states have suffered as badly from the scourge of illegal drugs as Arkansas, which has one of the highest violent crime rates in the country, according to the FBI statistics. Jesus. Bit of a spoiler here. I'm just gonna lay it out now. I was considering saving it to the end so we could go through and see it, but every single one of the states in the bottom 10 is Republican run. That doesn't surprise me. No, it didn't surprise me either, but considering that these guys are all about like economic measures and being good for businesses and trying to like say a small government gets out of the business's way so it's better for the economy and everything, it's like, yeah, but y'all are like consistently the worst places to live and do business. Yeah. And what else I noticed on this, that a lot of these states in the strengths that they show is like the only one is air quality, because it's all rural. You live out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the air quality is only big because we don't have the factories. It's like I went to Philadelphia. The air quality was worse in Philly than it was even in like the heart of Atlanta, but it's Georgia. My chat is saying the comb tomb bit is a Gallagher bit, not Ryan George. Is it Gallagher? I think my brain crossed G's there. Okay, sure, whatever. So healthcare in what are we, Arkansas? 42 dentists for every 100,000 residents, That seems low. They got some busy dentists. So strengths
You don't
are
need teeth.
strengths are
Childcare and
childcare and air quality. Weaknesses are crime, inclusiveness, reproductive rights, healthcare. Oh yeah, and also this is the one that has
so living there just
Governor
sucks.
Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Like that scares every time I read that phrase. I'm just like I'm actually surprised that she stayed out of the news cycle as much as she has, because the fact that she's a governor is just wild.
She was in the news cycle a shit ton during Trump's presidency, but she doesn't seem to be in it as much anymore.
It was her job to be in the news cycle in Trump's presidency. What is that? Or was she Secretary of State or something? I don't know. Whatever.
I don't remember.
But yeah, but like again, she was one of these people that was like, oh, tough on crime Republican. Well, you know what? You got a problem with crime in your state. So either tough on crime doesn't work, or you are ineffective.
It's almost like most reported crimes are actually a result of poverty, and if you address the poverty, the crimes go down.
So you're saying if you deal with urban problems and rural poverty,
then you might have lower crime rates? Yeah, it's weird. People feel less of a need to steal when they have all of their basic needs met. Strange
Sarah
concept.
Huckabee was the press secretary for a while. That's why it was in my head that it was her job to be in the news cycles. It was like, yeah, she was literally the press secretary. Not for long, but for a bit. I mean, that statement pretty much applies to anyone in Trump's I want to say cabinet, but it extended past the cabinet as well. Like
you had the job
administration. In Trump's administration, you had the job for a bit, and then you either got fired because you said or did something that he didn't like, or you had to leave because you have principles. Although, like, why would you work for that guy in the first place if you had principles? I don't know. Like, some people have weird lines that they draw.
It's like that one. I forget if it was a series or a book, one of the two, that began with the statement basically describing a cult where like everybody who's around you is there for only a little bit of time, and it's like they're rotating. And I'm not describing a cult leader right now, I'm describing the president of the United States.
Yeah,
I forget what it was.
I don't know.
Oh, it was Innuendo Studios. Okay,
sure, I'm not familiar with it. So number 8 is Tennessee. So they have all these weird extreme anti-LGBTQ laws. So like, one law was struck down by a federal judge in 2021 that would have required businesses to post warning signs on their bathrooms if transgender people were allowed there. Like,
can you imagine having because like when you have a little mom and pop business, you don't tend to have a big public restroom. You have like the stall, and that's it. So just imagine having a warning sign like, hey, just so you know, there is a chance that a trans girl's penis might have been somewhere near this stall. Maybe. We don't know. But we got to warn you legally, just in case.
Yeah, the bathroom thing is just stupid. I don't understand why that's even still a thing. Anyway, their strengths are childcare and air quality. Their weaknesses are inclusiveness, crime, and voting rights.
Voting rights?
Yeah, well, it was Louisiana or Tennessee. Sorry, we haven't gotten to Louisiana yet. Yeah. Indiana.
I
love this picture. I love that they chose this picture for Indiana. Like,
that child has seen better days.
So this is because childcare is one of their weaknesses. So this is their representation of that. But it's like, I just like the idea that Indiana is the petulant toddler who's ripping his mother's glasses off while he's got mess all over his face that he won't let her clean up. And like, yeah, that seems like Indiana. That seems like the Mike Pence state.
People in my chat are going like, hold on, it looks like the baby ate somebody. It's a zombie baby and the mother is next.
Give me your brains. So yeah, they have 10 licensed childcare facilities per 100,000 residents. Which is the second worst figure in the nation.
Low.
It's the second worst figure in the nation, which is behind Louisiana, which we'll see later on this list. Their strength is their crime rate, because apparently there's not a lot of crime there, but their weaknesses are childcare and inclusiveness. Missouri. So they have a law Their abortion ban is one of the strictest in the nations, which bans all abortions except in the case of medical emergency, which the abortion provider must prove, or they go to jail. So, yeah, that's not great.
So what are you gonna do a few weeks after when the police come knocking for an investigation? I need you to prove it was necessary. My guy, it was my boyfriend with a coat hanger because the doctor wouldn't do shit. I'm alive because of it. Go away.
Well, and that's one of the things about, like, this is the thing that a lot of Republicans either don't understand or they pretend not to understand for political means. But like, whether or not an abortion is medically necessary, it's never a 100% this is an emergency needs to happen versus 0% no, she'll be fine. It's always a like 60-40, 70-30, 80-20. I don't know. There's a chance that she'll survive. There's a chance she won't survive. There's a chance the baby will survive. There's a chance the baby won't survive. And these are the chances. And we actually, like, even if we could put a number on it, we don't know how accurate that number is, because it's not like we ran a statistical analysis on every woman who's ever been in this situation or every trans man who's been in this situation. It's not like we have that data. This is just my personal opinion about how likely the outcome is here. This is my prognosis. Yeah, so basically, any abortion, they perform it. If it goes to court, they get up there and explain why they consider it to be medically necessary. The anti-abortion group who is prosecuting them will bring up a Catholic doctor to say, no, in my professional opinion as a doctor, that was not an emergency. That was not medically necessary. And so
it's like if you aim a gun at somebody, right? Let's say you're 300 feet away, and I have to ask you, is it okay for me to fire this gun at you? And you have to rate how okay you are with it based on if I'm holding a 9mm, a smoothbore musket, or, you know, a nice hunting rifle, or if I'm holding a bazooka. Each one of these has a different % chance of hitting you from 300 feet. But I think most people's answer to which one of these would you rather me shoot you with is none of them.
Yeah.
I don't care which one. I don't care what the cut rate is on how likely it is that the bullet's going to graze my temple. I'd rather it just not be aimed at me at all. If you're in a position where you're thinking, hey, I don't want to have this child, not only do I not want you having that kid, because I don't want parents who don't want their kids. It's a weirdly foreign concept for some Republicans. But at the same time, if you think there is a risk to your health, you don't care what the numbers are. Again, 300 feet away, smoothbore musket. The likelihood's low, but you're not going to be like, yeah, fire away, motherfucker.
Yeah, no. I do not want... But like, I'm sorry, I'm kind of I'm flustered here because this subject makes me angry. It's like, these decisions should be between the pregnant person and their doctor. And like, you don't question, like, it's no one else's business. Literally no one else's business. If their doctor thought it was necessary and they agreed, or like maybe they'll get a second opinion if they're like, if someone who wants to keep the baby and the doctor says, no, you need to terminate this pregnancy, they'll probably get a second opinion. But like, it's none of your business. Anyway,
and yet
their strength is air quality, as with so many of the others. Their weaknesses are voting rights, reproductive rights, and crime. Alabama is tied for 4th with whatever the next one is. So their strength is air quality, weakness, voting rights, worker protections, inclusiveness, and health. Because they suck for healthcare. It's one of America's unhealthiest states. 4th highest rate of premature deaths. And it's one of the most difficult states to vote in, with no in-person early voting and restrictions on voting by mail. So, yeah. And they are tied for 4th with South Carolina.
I wonder what specific... Okay, so they're because they both have 86 out of 350.
Yeah.
They both get the tie there.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sucks to be there in both of them. Oh god, worker protections is a weakness?
Yeah.
Oh no.
In South Carolina?
Oh no.
Yeah, so it finishes in the top 10 for frequent physical and mental distress overall in all the states. And the violent crime rate is also in the top 10. So their strength is air quality, and their weaknesses are...
the air quality's so good.
And the weaknesses are health, worker protections, inclusiveness, crime, voting rights. But hey, you don't need your health care because the air quality's so good, so you won't get sick.
Yeah.
Because that's how that works, right?
That's how Alaska's a red state and they have Denali care? Anyway,
I think
they have air quality too.
Okay. Then we get to Louisiana. They have a grand total of 76 licensed childcare facilities in the whole state, with 4.6 million people.
Strengths, none. None.
It did not have a single metric that put it in the upper half of any of the states. So Louisiana literally has no strengths. There's no good reason to live there.
Jesus. And then weaknesses. So congratulations, there's no benefit to living here. And if you're gonna have kids, not only can you look forward to them being in a lot of danger based on gender, a lot of danger based on economic care, but you aren't even gonna get any fucking help with them at all, because childcare is a weakness for your state. Have fun.
And, well, not just a weakness, but it's the worst state for childcare in the entire United States. And then also bad crime and reproductive rights suck. So, like, yeah, we won't let you get that abortion. You better have that child. No, fuck no, you can't send it to a babysitter.
If you're pre-born, you're good. If you're preschool, you're fucked.
Yeah. And then we get to Oklahoma, where the wind goes sweeping down the plains. Strength, air quality.
Of course.
Weaknesses, reproductive rights, health, and voting rights.
It's so weird to me that voting rights can even be a weakness in any state in the country.
Yeah, aren't you all supposed to be a democracy?
Yeah, we're supposed Republic. Yeah, but no functional difference between the two in this scenario and when it comes to voting.
Yeah,
when it comes to how we do our voting shit,
it's a representative democracy.
Yeah. It should be easy. The day to go vote for anything, any little election, even just fucking city elections, should be paid time, just guaranteed.
Yep. Excuse me. Getting pretty yawny today. I don't know why. Anyway, worst place in the states to live is Texas.
Of course.
And
everything's bigger in Texas, including the reasons not to live in Texas.
Well, what's great here is like this is almost like a single-handedly Ron DeSantis fucked them up kind of moment, because okay, so it's got the nation's highest percentage of people without health insurance and the second lowest number of primary care physicians per capita. But here's the thing. In the immediate last time they did the study, it was in the top 10 places to live. And top 5. So when they did the study, in the 16 years that they've been doing the study, it has never been lower than the top 5 places to live in the United States. And it went all the way from top 5 consistently to last place, dead last.
Is that can't be just from DeSantis's
it's not
trafficking thing.
Just DeSantis, but like DeSantis has been on a rampage. Like Texas has been on a rampage over this past year or two.
I mean, a bot has been doing a bunch of stupid shit. Taking
away people's rights, doing heinous and immoral shit at the border in the name of border security. Like, did you hear about the thing where they're ordering border patrols to like push children back into the no, not people, children. They're ordered to throw children back into the river.
Yeah, no, I've seen. No, and I understand.
Like, I don't care. Like, if you're entering the country illegally, you're still a human being.
No, they
you're
don't
still
see
a
them
fucking
that
human
way.
being.
They don't see them that way. That's the problem.
Makes me mad. Anyway, Texas also has not a single metric in the top 25, so they've gone from consistently top 5 overall to not a single metric in the top half. DeSantis is Florida? Oh, did I say DeSantis? Because I meant Abbott.
You kept saying DeSantis
Abbott.
over and over again.
Greg Abbott.
That's why I was
Greg
like,
Abbott.
wait, it can't be just because of the trafficking thing. Because the trafficking thing's the only thing he did that touched Texas that I could think of.
It's Greg Abbott. I know Greg Abbott.
Okay.
Sorry. That was just those two kind of meld in my brain as like, because they're the two governors that
they show up all the
not
time.
people, children, so kids aren't people, Rhino. Yeah, no, they're not.
No, they're not. We're atheists. We like abortion. More abortions.
I have 5 kids. That's too many. It's time for a feast.
Damn it. Pop another one out. Daddy's hungry.
Oh, Cyrus, you're the worst.
I know. Look, there was since I used to do just edited content. I mean, most of us used to do just edited content and didn't do live streams. Years ago, Zod mentioned that the very first time he saw me actually doing a live stream, he's like, "You're a little more unhinged on live stream than you are in edited videos." I'm like,
"Yup,
maybe a little."
Me too.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, live streams are what's going to get me canceled eventually.
One day.
So after enough booze, I'll just say something stupid. Anyway,
I just do it sober.
Moving on. So Ohio has issue number 1. So in 2022, reproductive freedom. Okay, so this is just making the point that pro-choice is like overwhelmingly agreed. Like that's the vast majority of Americans.
It's over 65% usually is how it polls.
Yeah, like the vast majority of Americans, doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, who cares? They're in favor of right to access to an abortion. And so that's across state and party lines. But in Ohio, where there is also a strong majority of Ohioans who support an amendment to make abortion access a constitutional right, they require 400,000 signatures to put a constitutional amendment before voters, and this pro-choice amendment got 700,000 signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly, if we go into the past, we get this guy, Frank LaRose, who is the Secretary of State, who he's the one that has to put it on the ballot or like put that in motion or whatever. A little earlier, he was like, oh, you know what? Special elections, they kind of cost the taxpayers money and they have pretty low turnout. It's like only 11.8 and 6.8% of people turned out to vote on the 2020 special election things. So we're just going to, like, they're unnecessary. They're not good for taxpayers. They're not good for election officials. They're not good for civic health of the state. It's time for them to go.
What?
Yeah, so he's like, special elections need to go because it costs money.
The whole point of a special election is when shit didn't go right the first time for your election when you're in your primaries and stuff. Like that's what that's for.
Okay, but he's saying that like special elections need to go because they cost too much money.
I
as
don't
soon as
give a shit that it costs money.
Okay. As soon as shut up, you. Sorry, my partner was like, as I was shushing you, she just turns to me and is like, now you know how it feels. I do have a tendency to talk over her sometimes. I have told her multiple times that she can feel free to just like smack me upside the head and be like, you're doing it again. Because I'm usually not aware. But anyway. Yeah, so LaRose is like spearheaded the campaign to get rid of specifically the August special elections or whatever. But now that there's been enough signatures on a petition to get a constitutional amendment going through, and it needs to be, like, legally, it needs to be brought to the voters, they've proposed a special election in August to amend the process for getting the state constitution amended, which would raise the approval threshold from a simple majority to 60%. So, yeah, so he's against special amendments unless it is something that he thinks will benefit him.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, he's a Republican. That's how they work.
My chat, K. Charles Champ just went, hey, this could be a check on my power. Let's just get rid of that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Every single time he was been asked if this special election that he's proposing was related to an abortion vote, he said no. But then he was found on a videotape saying to some of his supporters, it's 100% about keeping a radical pro-abortion amendment out of our Constitution.
So after 700,000 people have pointed out, hey, this is a thing that we need, and a special election would be how you would determine that in this case, because it's not on the current docket, it is like, nah, this is the one time we don't need it.
No. So he wants the special election to make it harder for the amendment to pass. So the special election is to amend the process of amending the state constitution. Does that make sense?
Can I leave this country, please?
Yeah, you're welcome in my house anytime. You just got to clean the basement for me.
How big is your basement?
Well, I'm just going to say that we got a quote from a junk removal place, and it was going to be like $1,000 to clean it out for us, so make of that what you will.
Can I put the trash can? Can I put the trash can or the trash in your can?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Cirrus is referring to a video that he's seen that I am not showing to any of you of my neighbor yelling and swearing at us for putting our garbage cans on our own property because he didn't like where they were located.
On your property lines.
On our property. Well, because, okay, so his driveway is right up against the side of our house, but we own like a meter of his driveway. That's where the property line is. It's like down, like he like 2/3 of his driveway is his and 1/3 is ours. So like it's, the driveway is split into thirds, and we own 1/3 of it. And so we put our garbage cans back there because we have a back door that opens directly onto their driveway, onto our property section of their driveway. So it's like, you know what? It makes the most sense to have the garbage there by the back door because the kitchen's right there. You just walk out with the garbage instead of having to go through the whole house. And yeah, he was not happy about that. So he was like yelling and swearing at us, and he moved the garbage bins. And so we moved them back, and we have like this shutting bin thing to like kind of hide it and keep it out of sight or whatever. So we put a couple patio stones in it and then locked it shut. But he didn't realize that we had put patio stones in it, so he tried to ram his car into it, and it did not move.
Yeah, because you just added like 300 pounds to it.
Yeah, no, he didn't mention anything about that, but yeah, I don't think he was happy about that. It was like, I'm sorry that you're not happy that your vandalization of our property on our property went poorly, but yeah, so we're having neighbor troubles again. This time it's us that's instigating it, but it's still just our property.
Rhino, just so you know, I have been seeing commentary about this for the last 3 years.
With our neighbors?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just an ongoing saga that I've not really commented on that much, but I've been watching.
Yeah. He's an asshole. As long as he gets what he wants, he's fine. But as soon as you give him any pushback, he turns into a major asshole.
Feels like how the drunk at the bar is your friend, but only when you're buying his drinks.
Yeah. How do you get permission to build a driveway on your land? Okay, so our houses were all built in like 1928 or some shit. So like, and this was a poor neighborhood back when they were built, so probably the people that were building the houses here didn't have cars. So I doubt that the driveway was an original feature, so the property lines were kind of weird. And when it came time to put driveways in, it was like, well, we kind of need space for that or whatever. So I imagine there was some agreement between the two people who owned these two houses, because like mine, like I have a corner lot, so my driveway's around the corner. So I don't know. I don't know how it came about. I'm sure it made sense in the 1920s or whatever.
Just doesn't make sense anymore.
No.
And now it's all falling on.
But I actually, so if you've been following the channel for a while, you might be familiar with the spray paint incident where he went through our backyard spray painting what he thought was the property line, and telling my mother when she caught him spray painting my. So he waited till I was on vacation to do this because, like, I say that he's non-confrontational, but like he's non-confrontational in the sense that he won't talk to us about anything first, but if we confront him, he's got no problem yelling and swearing at us. But
he's reactionary.
Yeah, he's reactionary, but he won't, like, even when, like, there was another incident where, like, he fenced off part of our backyard, and we thought that he was trying to annex it for himself, and likely he was trying to annex it for himself, but we actually called the police in that instance, and he told them that it was, I'm sorry, the stream can't hear it, but Cirrus can hear it. I've got, my WhatsApp is going off repeatedly, because the people in the group chat just won't shut up. And yeah, for some reason when I close WhatsApp it still gives me the notifications. I'm trying to make it go away. And because Windows notification system is so bad, I can't even like see my little tray icons because the notification pops over it.
Wait, does your WhatsApp not have a mute for X hours option?
Turn off all notifications for WhatsApp. Oh, not on Windows.
Because so my WhatsApp is through Opera.
Yeah,
it's just on my.
I have the actual app installed.
Okay.
Anyway, what I was going to say is that we discovered that like the reason we own part of their driveway is actually there's a bylaw in my town where like if there is a driveway that runs right up against someone's house, legally they have to own a certain amount of it, because it just doesn't make sense to not be able to use
side of your house.
Yeah, like like what if I need to waterproof my basement? I shouldn't need to get my neighbor's permission to waterproof my basement from the outside. So, like, it just makes sense to make that my property.
Wait. Did you just tell me I could move into a basement that's not waterproofed?
No, my basement is waterproof. We waterproofed it from...
Okay. Guys,
I'm just
trying to drown me.
No, that was one of my little like evil plans when I'm thinking of ways to get back at them for not wanting our garbage there. Be like, oh, let's just waterproof our basement. They'll have to tear up part of the driveway for like a month. They won't like that. He actually repeatedly in the video we have him repeatedly saying, well, build a fence then. So we're getting quotes to get the fence built. And if we build a fence there, they just will not be able to use their driveway because it's not wide enough to accommodate a car with a fence on the property line. So
that's what he wants.
I hope I don't have to waste money building a fence down my property line. I hope he sees reason, but if I got to do it, I got to do it. Like he told me to. I have him on video telling me to.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so they say the blazing hypocrisy of this guy is that the pro-choice position that he calls radical has majority of support from Ohio voters, and he knows it, or else he wouldn't be trying to raise the bar for passage. If anyone is radical, it's the faction that wants to impose a minority's extreme views on the rest of the populace.
Isn't that the exact argument that the Republican Party uses all the time when we try to put in legislation for trans people, gay people, black people?
Yep. We shouldn't be controlled by the minorities. We shouldn't have to bend to the minority's will. Unless it's abortion.
I'm just imagining that episode of South Park.
So Lord of Uzkalak says, I kind of want to see you go to the council to check the survey plans and find out if you actually own all of his drive. No, so here's the beautiful thing about it is because of the spray paint incident where he thought he owned part of my backyard and was talking about demolishing part of my garage. The reason he did that is because he paid for a survey, and the survey company that did it, they only like did part of the job and they never finished. And so he thought that they had marked the property line, but they had actually marked a spot to start measuring where the property line would be from. So he was going from the measurement point instead of the property line point. And so the reason we know where the property line is because they paid for a survey. And we actually have him on video now being like, we put the garbage up against the side of our house, be like, is this our property? And he didn't like say yes, but he didn't say no. And like so at first, like the garbage can was like kind of off to the side a little bit. Is this our property? No, it's not. Okay, how about now? Is this our property? It doesn't matter. Like, yes, it does.
The minority thing.
Okay, back to the actual topic.
It just reminds me of the episode of South Park where Cartman's slowly realizing that Colorado is becoming less white, and he's just like, "Wait, are you telling me that I'm becoming a minority? That can't be true."
Yeah, I don't know. He's a piece of shit. My neighbor's a piece of shit. They're all pieces of shit. Okay, on to some tweets. I think this was the end of the. Yeah, okay. So
close enough.
Well, okay, no, I want to get this last quote in. In all these cases, religious right legislators have flaunted their contempt for democracy. They view voters as an obstacle to be overcome by any means necessary. I like that quote. Yeah. The religious right views voters as an obstacle to be overcome. If you view voters as an obstacle,
you're not probably doing it wrong.
Well, then you probably shouldn't be operating in a democracy, and I guess they're trying to get there, so sorry.
I mean, we saw this happen once.
All right, on to some tweets. Okay, so we're starting.
I've been seeing so much shit from this recently.
I'm sorry, we have to start with this. So, Libertarian Party of New Hampshire says Nina Turner, or no, sorry, it goes back further than that. This is like 4 tweets in one. Nina Turner says insulin should be free, medicine should be free. You know, kind of like it is in Canada. Well, insulin's not free in Canada, but like medical care, go to the hospital, that's free in Canada. And insulin is super cheap compared to the States. And then the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire says Nina Turner, picking crops should be free, which is
just slavery.
A fucking racist thing to say.
Yeah, it's
to
literally
a black
just
person.
saying we should go back to slavery.
Yeah, so Nina Turner says this is racist and anti-black, period. There's no way advocating for free. There's in no way is advocating for free insulin comparable to chattel slavery. Shameful and uneducated. Accurate statement. Then the Arizona Libertarian Party retweeted that saying, removing all possible implications of race, you absolutely have been arguing that you're entitled to the labor of others and its products for free. That's called slavery. You support slavery. No, that's called paying for it collectively. Taxes. That's called paying for their labor through collective collection of taxes. That is not slavery.
When we say we want free access to roads, free education for our kids, things that we already have right now, we technically don't get those for free. We pay taxes, and then that funds those things.
Well, this is
we just want more things to be on that docket.
I do wish people would stop using the word free to describe these things, because it does need to be paid for. But and the libertarians take advantage of that to say that, like, oh, well, you think it should be free? Well, someone's got to pay for it. And they use that to be like, well, it's shifting like, oh, why should I pay for your medical care? Like, I don't know, because you're a decent fucking human being. I guess you're not a decent fucking human being. Sucks to be you.
The scenario that I've painted before in this argument is you have a 9-year-old girl who's got a skin cancer that is treatable, and the parents can't afford the treatment, but in a world
it's funny because you're setting this up, in my Canadian brain I just immediately default to like, well, yeah, no, she doesn't have to pay for it, she can just go get treated. Like, oh wait, that's your point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my point. My point is, when somebody is saying like, why should I be able to afford to pay for your thing, they're usually envisioning, right, some obese person who needs their insulin, and they're talking to that person because it's a contemptual person in their brain.
Yeah, they deserve it too. They deserve medical care as well.
Right, but what I'm saying
sorry,
is,
but like your weight is not a moral failing.
They put the image of a person that they think they can hold contempt over in their brain.
Slackback says build that fence.
So, God damn it. So what you do instead is you paint them somebody who they cannot. They do not have a moral standing, even in their own viewpoint, with. So
well, their parents should work harder to pay for their treatment.
Right. This is now an orphan.
I'm sure there's some response to that. I don't know. I can't put myself in their mindset for, like, I used to be a libertarian, and I can't think of what the libertarian answer to that would be.
I can. There's a there was one libertarian dude who got really mad at my channel and tried to call me a pedophile and shit on his channel because, of course,
I think I saw that.
Too. So that dude, I found out that there's a clip from that guy. It's Eric July. There's a clip from him that I didn't recognize him from when he started doing shit on my channel, and I wish that I had known when I was doing content on him, where somebody pointed out that, like, hey, you hate taxes, but taxes pay for roads, and he just went on a fucking screaming rant. I don't care about your damn roads. Like, do you not? Where the fuck are you going to drive?
Yeah.
You want to go to the grocery store? Okay, cool. You can do it on
dirt. I've never understood, like, the whole idea would be like you're paying, like, you would pay a monthly bill or something for road access to whatever company owns the roads, or like you pay a toll every time you turn a corner because a different company owns the roads because they have competition.
If you're homeless with a bicycle, I guess fuck you.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what the libertarian solution to roads is. Like, I know they have ideas, but like, I don't know what they, like, there's nothing feasible.
They don't have to have ideas, though. Don't you understand? The market will provide.
Taxation is theft. Anyway, Libertarian Party of New Hampshire said, people have a right to free insulin. People have a right to free cotton. Same energy. No, it's fucking not, because you know what?
Really not.
Cotton is not a life-saving medication. Cotton is a thing that you make shirts out of, and you can actually live without cotton. I mean,
it's effectively a luxury item. If you want to get down to brass tacks, insulin is not a luxury item. Cotton is considered a choice.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't buy things specifically because of their cotton content. I actually have a huge sensory thing with cotton, so like cotton blends I can deal with, but like cotton balls, I can't even touch them. Like, those things, like touching a cotton ball for me is the same. It creates the same feeling that you get when you hear fingernails on a blackboard.
Gotta know what I'm doing on April 1st.
No. That's not cool, sir. That's crossing a line.
But is it your property line?
It might be.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and I actually found out that I have that same sensory issue applies to the foam mattresses that 2 of the 5 children that live in my house sometimes sleep on. So there have been instances where I've like had to change the bed sheets, and it's like it takes me extra time because I have to like take breaks because it's like, oh no, I can't do it. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's like, it's a stupid thing. Clearly this is not a common thing that everybody has. Otherwise they wouldn't make stuff out of that material.
I forget what I know. There are some things that I have that texture issue with. Mostly it's when, like, if my fingernails brush something that I'm just not expecting them to. It's one of the reasons I keep my nails clipped, so that this never happens. But if they brush something, I get just that spine tingly feeling, and like, I need to touch a different surface to reset my brain.
Yeah. No, on more than one occasion, like, you know, sometimes you open a pill bottle and there's like a little cotton ball on top.
Yep.
So on more than one occasion, I've like opened the pill bottle and been like to one of my children, like, hey, can you get that cotton ball out so I can get my medicine?
It's because you have smaller fingers, not because Dad's genes are weak and he's not going to survive.
Oh no, I just straight up tell them I don't like the feeling of pure cotton, so you can do that. And then they all laugh at me, and they do it for me. So it's like, whatever. You can laugh at your dad. It's fine. Anyway, cat turd. I never understood why anyone took this guy seriously. But anyway, he used to have Elon's dick all the way down his throat. But then Elon decided that some people were going to get payouts and other people wouldn't from Twitter Blue. And Cat Turd was one that did not get a payout. And he said, and after that, like shortly after that, he decided he didn't like Elon so much anymore. So he started tweeting about how new Twitter is starting to look a lot like old Twitter. There's a few people at Twitter headquarters choosing who are the haves and have-nots, aka which right-wing grifters get paid and which ones do not.
I mean, why would you think anything different would happen?
I didn't. It was pretty much universally agreed by people who weren't right-wing grifters that Elon's purchase of Twitter would cause it to go downhill really fast, And seeing as how Twitter is a business that has never once had a profitable year in its entire existence, I feel like the people who are running Twitter were perfectly happy to have a crazy guy offer them $44 billion for it.
Yep.
It was like, yeah, we'll take that money and run from our super not profitable business.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why they took him to court, and they were just like, no, you've got to pay it now.
Fusel says Cat Turd is a literally shittier version of Surus. I'm not sure how I feel about that comment.
I don't know how to feel about that comment at all. Huh.
Anyway, he says these algorithms are a bad joke and their only purpose is to boost the haves and throttle the have-nots. This isn't free speech, not even close. What's funny about this is that I see Cat Turd's tweets all the time. I do not follow Cat Turd. I do not interact with his tweets at all. Like, this is the first time I've ever screenshotted one. And, like never once have I done anything with his stuff. Well, okay, maybe I've had a Cat Turd tweet on Twit Tweets before. I don't know, but, like...
I think we probably have... He's the right kind of person for it.
Yeah, I feel like it would be weird if he wasn't on here before.
God,
it's
Twit
just
tweets without. It's like not having Kevin Sorbo in Twit tweets.
Oh, I don't have Kevin Sorbo this week either.
You haven't had him in you haven't had him in the last three.
He's been pretty sad recently. Like it's kind of, he's more sad than funny at this point. It's just like, aw, he used to get jobs, but he doesn't anymore. I think didn't I have him last week? Because like when everybody was getting their payouts, didn't he have like the sad moment of like, "Where's my money, Elon?"
No, I don't think you had.
Didn't I do that here?
Week.
Okay, well, he did do that. There were like when people were posting their payout things, which I feel like that was a requirement of getting the payout, is you have to post about it in a troll-like fashion or whatever, because they all, like every single post that I saw that was people talking about their payout from Twitter, it read like a crypto bro tweeting about how much they made by playing the crypto markets
look at all
or whatever.
my monkeys.
Like it had all the like the red flashing light emojis and all that sort of stuff, but like, and one of them, like K-Sorbs, responded and was like, "Hey Elon Musk, how do I get a payout?" And it was just sad. It's just like, aw, Sorbo's short for cash. That's why he's doing all these advertisements for, like, I don't know, whatever that mobile company is that, like, their whole thing is we're conservative, but we actually just use someone else's network.
It's not Freedom?
No, it's not. Freedom Mobile. Freedom Mobile is a Canadian company that is affiliated with, I want to say, TELUS, but maybe not. Maybe they're Bell. I don't know.
There's so many. There's so many of those.
So
like,
Canada has this really. So this is one of the things that the States is actually better than Canada for, is that we have a triopoly basically with our mobile carriers. You can either go with Bell, Rogers, or TELUS. And each of those companies has their discount brand. So like Rogers' discount brand is Chatter, TELUS discount brand is Kudo, and Bell's discount brand is, I guess, Wind. I don't know. No, not Wind. Freedom Mobile. They used to be called Wind because it was like out west where the wind blows.
That's the same thing we have here. We have AT&T, we have T-Mobile, and we have...
Yeah, but your rates are a lot fucking cheaper than ours.
Are they?
They are super duper cheap. Like my phone bill is $140 a month, and I have a very basic plan.
Mine's like, wait, something's wrong because mine's like $240.
What do you get?
I have unlimited everything.
I have 2 gigabytes of data.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little bit different. I'm also technically there's 3 phones being paid for on this plan too.
Okay, yeah, mine is just 1.
No, as in like not the extra lines, the physical phones.
Okay, yeah, that's still just 1 for me.
Okay, fair enough. That explains the difference. Okay, never mind. You win.
Okay. Yeah, so no, I have 1 phone. I have unlimited text messaging. I have unlimited minutes in Canada. I have a $7 add-on so I can text people in the States. And I get 2 gigabytes of data. Now there is a Canadian law where you can't completely shut off someone's data when they've run out of their monthly allotment. So what happens is so what happens is you get 2 gigabytes of data at full speed 5G, and then after that you go down to LTE speeds, which is shit, and you can't watch a video on LTE, but you can still, like, you know, if you're in an emergency situation, you can send someone your location.
I could have sworn, maybe it was just because we didn't know anything better, but I could have sworn that 2G and LTE were better when they were the mainstream that everybody used. But again, I think that might just be because we didn't have anything better at the time.
I was going to say porn. When was it? Why was I going to say porn? What are you talking about? Oh, I can't even watch porn videos.
Yeah,
same
porn
thing.
videos.
Same thing.
It's
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Okay. Anyway, okay, so this is the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. I censored this one. So my thing is, like, so you remember back when there was the leak of Hunter Biden's laptop to Twitter, and it was like, most of it, like, it was a big old nothing burger. Like, yeah, he is a person that needs help. And, like, yes, there was some criminal stuff on there, but it's not like the conspiratorial criminal stuff that the Republicans are accusing him of. It's like he bought drugs, sort of thing. There was also a bunch of naked pictures of him on it. Marjorie Taylor Greene brought his naked pictures into Congress. So, like, I photoshopped in rhinos having sex with the photographer facing the other way because I thought that was funny, because that's often used as, like, that's a meme template where, like, you'll have the photographer is like Republicans focusing on Hunter Biden and the rhinos fucking in the background is like actual Trump crimes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an appropriate thing to Photoshop in, but, like, I didn't want to contribute to the fact is, like, that Twitter link that everybody was complaining got taken down because, like, oh, it's a conspiracy to suppress the fact that Hunter has been committing crimes. Like, no, you know why it got taken down? Because it was posting naked pictures of someone without that person's consent. That's a huge issue. So I didn't want to partake in that, so I took the naked person who didn't consent to have his picture spread all over the internet out of this picture. But that is where you see mating rhinos, that was a picture of Hunter Biden getting a blowjob that Marjorie Taylor Greene brought into Congress.
So there was a meme that was shared in a couple of group chats that I'm in. And it was just like a Republican Wojak going, "Oh my God, dude, did you see the Hunter Biden leak, dude? His cock is so huge, dude. Joe Biden is finished." I was like, wait, what? That's basically what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, this, I don't even care about the fucking Hunter Biden laptop thing. Like, why is this even a thing still?
Because just like with Hillary's emails, it is it's the box from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, but,
Nobody.
Okay. Did Hunter Biden get a government position because daddy appointed him even though he didn't have any qualifications? You know, like every single one of Trump's kids and their spouses got?
Again, it's the fucking Pulp Fiction box. The most interesting thing about it for them is that they can make up whatever they want to be in it because nobody knows what's in it. What's in Hillary's emails? Nah. Nobody who complains about Hillary's emails fucking knows what's in Hillary's emails. Nobody who complains about Hunter Biden's laptop knows what's in the goddamn laptop. And everybody who cares about what's in the box in Pulp Fiction doesn't know what's in the fucking box, because I guarantee you the screenwriters don't remember what's in the fucking box at this point.
Did the screenwriters even know to begin with?
I don't think they did. I think that was the whole point.
Yeah,
of the
box. that was like the best use of a MacGuffin in movie history.
It's just like nobody knows what's in the goddamn box.
You know, I've never actually seen Pulp Fiction.
Really?
Yeah, really. I know that's one of those things that I should probably correct.
It's
just like
really
I've never
movie.
seen any of the Terminator movies.
So funny story. I saw the first Terminator movie like 10 years ago, and I saw the second Terminator movie last week. I still have not. I've seen.
Apparently, Terminator 2 is way better than the first one.
Terminator 1 sucks. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. Terminator 1 is it is the epitome of a slasher film where there's just one protagonist instead of like a group of victims. That's what that movie is functionally. It is just a slasher film with an interesting premise behind the villain. And then Terminator 2 is actually a compelling film.
Okay, maybe I'll give them a watch at some point. I don't know. I've got to get my partner to watch Plan 9 from Outer Space first.
Haven't seen that either. I got a lot of stuff I got to catch up on.
Oh my god. Have you not seen it? Are you aware of it at least?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so it is pretty much universally agreed upon to be the worst movie ever made. So it's got... Do you know who Bela Lugosi is?
No.
Okay, so Bela Lugosi is like, you know, the image of like Dracula sneaking up on his victims with the cape over his face?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Bela Lugosi was the first guy to do that. He was a horror movie icon in like the 1940s and 50s. And like he was iconic. He was a huge name actor back then. When he died, Ed Wood had some unused footage of Bela Lugosi. And so he decided he was going to make a movie, and he would wrangle some big names into it by saying that it was Bela Lugosi's final movie by using this unused footage. So he used the unused footage, and but to fill in like extra plot details or whatever, he had his wife's chiropractor come in to like play Bela Lugosi for footage that he didn't have of him. And so the guy would like walk around in the same costume that Bela Lugosi was wearing, but like with the cape over his face so that you couldn't see him, except he was like 2 feet taller than Bela Lugosi. So you could tell that it wasn't him. And like, if they didn't have a narrator like ramming it down your throat that this is the same guy, you would have never even known that it was the same guy.
Jeez.
And it's a black and white film. Ed Wood, like he had there were aliens in it, and he did the 1950s thing of you paint their skin green because they're aliens, except it's black and white, so you can't actually see that their skin is painted green. And he hired the makeup guy from what's it called, the 10 Commandments. The guy who did the makeup from the 10 Commandments also did the makeup for Plan 9 from Outer Space, and he had all these great like prosthetics and things that he was going to do for the aliens, but Ed Wood was like, nah, just paint them green. And so the makeup guy did that. He just painted them green, and then he demanded that his name be removed from the movie. So yeah, the film was terrible. It's got alien spaceships on it that are like very clearly just little bitty things that are dangling from strings.
I'll have to put it on when I'm planning on doing a bad movie night. Now
it's so great.
I need to introduce Saki to Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
So Plan 9 was apparently bankrolled by a bunch of Baptists, and so one of the stipulations was none of the good guy characters could be killed on screen. So every time someone dies that's not like one of the aliens, the camera like abruptly turns away, and then you just hear an awkward scream.
You just hear, ah!
Yeah. Oh, it's so bad good. I highly recommend it.
I'll have to give it a try at some point.
Okay. Next tweet. RC says, walk someone through the entire body and how it works. I mean, hair to eye to mouth to digestion, cells, mitochondria, feet, muscle, everything. And if they can't admit it's designed, their issue is deeply psychological. So I guess the vast majority of the people who understand the entire body and how it works more thoroughly than anyone else on the planet are just deeply psychologically committed to it not being designed because they all believe in evolution.
Because in the terms of even discounting just how many of them believe in, you know, the very well established facts of evolution, the field of biology is filled with fucking atheists.
Hellbound Hillbilly says Night of the Lepus levels in quality. I love light. Have you seen Night of the Lepus?
I have not.
I haven't seen the actual movie, but you can watch the trailer on YouTube, and it's like they tried to make giant rabbits into the bad guy of the movie, but like they're just adorable. Like they got like real rabbits that they filmed like jumping over miniatures and stuff. So it's just like rabbits being adorable with scary music behind it. and then it cuts to someone like, ah!
Mom, can we watch Watership Down? We got Watership Down at home.
Yes, exactly. Oh, Night of the Lepus is great. I mean, I haven't seen it. I want to see it. My partner's over here like, oh God, no, I hope he doesn't find it. Because I keep making her watch bad movies. And
I mean...
sometimes she's down with it, but Baptist at Our Barbecue was not one that she was happy about. That's the one where someone makes a joke out of pedophilia. And it's supposed to be funny.
Huh.
Are you familiar with that one?
No, I'm not.
So it's a Mormon movie. And at one point, so this guy, the protagonist of the movie, is a 29-year-old who is still single, and that's one of the
Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, basically, they attempt to do several running gags, but like every single running gag that they set up, they just forget about. And so that's one of them is that like, oh, he's 29 and still single, and that's unheard of for Mormons. So like everybody's trying to set him up. And at one point, one of the people that tries to set him up is like, oh, you see her over there? That's my daughter. She's only 18, and not a single penis has ever entered inside her vagina. And, like, literally, that's how she's trying to sell her daughter to him. And then
Wait, but that means it's more common for their underage ones. Oh.
Don't think about it. But anyway, his response to that was like, oh, no, but I'm 29, so I'm too old for an 18-year-old, which, like, yeah. 29 and an 18-year-old, you're probably too old for her. Like
you're gonna run into some problems.
Maybe some rare circumstances that could work, but no, that's sketchy.
I mean, typically what you find is that because you guys are in different stages in life, when they go through a developmental stage and they start going like, oh, wait a minute, have I made some life choices that I need to change? One of those life choices might just end up being you.
Yeah, but anyway, so he says no, he's too old for that. But the lady's response is like, oh, well, that don't worry about that. You're not too old for her because like her grandfather was 73 years old and he married a 17-year-old.
What?
Like, and they play that off as if it's a joke. Because like, get it? Because Mormons do that, so it's funny. No, it's not funny. That's pedophilia and it's gross. Stop doing it.
What?
Yeah, no.
What is the...
There's actually several moments throughout that movie where they bring up actual problems with the Mormon church, but they just play it off as a joke. Like, for instance,
look at those quirky Mormons.
You know how the Mormon church has been caught hoarding like $100 billion of cash, like not even in property, just like straight up cash money that they could use to do whatever they want with whenever they want. So yeah. One of the jokes throughout the movie is like, oh yeah, so this is a Mormon community out in the boonies where like nobody lives. So instead of having a building, they just meet in whoever has the biggest house, and whoever has the biggest house gets to be the branch president. Yay! And then when the branch president kicks them out or whatever for singing hymns or something, I don't know if they try to play that off as a joke as well. They're like, they send a representative down from the Mormon church, and he's like, we already own 2 acres of property here. So you own 2 acres of property and you refuse to build a church for them. Great. How magnanimous of you. And then the joke is like, yeah, we own 2 acres of the best property here, so we're going to send down a trailer to be your church instead of actually building a building. And it's like, yeah, this is a legitimate problem they have. They like with them hoarding money instead of using it to actually like do good in the community. And they play it off as a joke. Haha, it's so funny.
It's so funny that you have so much money that the most you can spend is $10,000, which is less than 0.5% of what you've got.
Oh, it was a double wide trailer, so like we're talking 20,000.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, okay.
It also has Dr. McCoy from Star Trek in it? Are we talking? Oh, that's Night of the Lepus has Dr. McCoy in it. I think. I'm pretty sure. I know it's not Plan 9. Or Baptist at Our Barbecue. Oh my god, I would be.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine how depressing that would be to like watch some stupid ass Christian movie like Baptist at Our Barbecue and then see like an iconic Star Trek actor in it?
You're just like, huh.
I'd be so depressed.
I was here for a fun time, and now I'm just sad.
Carl Benjamin.
Oh god damn it.
So this is when Nick Fuentes comes up. This was a long screed. I didn't screenshot the whole thing because most of it is just like, who the fuck cares? But he says, I find the contempt and hatred of men like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes rather misplaced. They are products of their time, and it seems unfair to expect them to be anything other than what they are. We are in the downward spiral of a lunar era. Feminine principles dominate every aspect of life. These are the kinds of men that these principles create.
This is just bad times make strong men. Strong men make good times. This is just that shit.
Yeah, it's that shit again. But like, what the fuck is the lunar era? We're in the downward spiral of a lunar era?
I wonder...
Oh, my partner just said lunar is feminine. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he's referring to like how masculine the pursuit of getting to the moon was, and we're in the downward spiral of that.
I think it's... But... I'm just gonna do Occam's razor. I think he meant loony. I think he mistyped loony.
I don't think so, because he used lunar in part that I didn't include.
Well, with having no extra context, I would assume that. But if he uses it twice, then it's probably deliberate. Sun equals male, moon equals female in Romance languages. Hey, makes sense, I guess. It's a weird way of describing that. This guy took his entire grift bitching about Anita Sarkeesian and made it his entire personality.
Yep. But anyway, that's the first part of his screed. He ends with, I cut out the middle, and the middle is just him describing that Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate, like describing his problems with them. Notably, his problems were not the like the open Nazism or anything from like Nick Fuentes or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he says, I'm not saying this to exculpate either man. I'm saying it to contextualize them. For all I know, Tate is a criminal sex trafficker and Fuentes is a closet homosexual who uses religion as a cover, because, you know, that would be way worse than being a Nazi.
What? Let's just ignore the Holocaust denial, I guess.
Yeah, like that. Like, it would be way worse to Sargon if he's a closet homosexual than the fact that he is an open Nazi. But if we take a charitable reading of the open Nazi and human trafficker, we can see that men like this are inevitable because the process of masculinization of men has been stunted, where it hasn't been outright destroyed. Neither men should be venerated or castigated, in my opinion. It would be better to learn from and understand them. They're both intelligent and talented. Citation needed. It may be possible to improve them. Ire should be reserved for civilization that made them possible.
Wait, so instead of holding them accountable for their own words and actions.
So first off, like, his whole thing is that, like, oh, we're in a feminized culture, and that, like, there's been a void of real masculinity, which is what made Andrew Tate possible, and then Nick Fuentes was feminized by our feminized society, and he's angry about that, and that's why he became what he is. That's his whole thing here. So it's like, but, like, no, Andrew Tate is the epitome of toxic masculinity that Sargon here what's it called? Advocates for. Advocates is the word I was looking for. But yeah.
And guys, let's not look at Hitler and the things he said and did. He was a product of his time, and so he needs to be looked at through that guys, Andrew Jackson wasn't one of the worst United States presidents. He was a product of his time. We need to learn from him and venerate him. Oh my God.
No. He's saying they shouldn't be venerated.
They shouldn't be venerated or castigated. But this is him literally basically going, observe them and leave them alone.
Yeah, no. Sargon is an idiot who has a patina of intellectualism about him. Like, he knows words like exculpate, so he must be smart. Anyway, so the next thing from Sargon, he says, I had a lot of leftists complain about my take my Tate and Fuentes take. They, of course, screamed that the pair were misogynist Nazis, but for once, I wasn't the one being called a misogynist Nazi. I was, instead, I was appealed to as being a reasonable centrist. Interesting how the dialectic works.
Because when we have a matter of scale, right?
Well, no,
First of
okay.
all,
First of all, I saw a few criticisms of his take on Nick Fuentes and all that. Not a single one actually called him a reasonable centrist or even implied that he was a reasonable centrist. It was just like, oh, hey, look, you know that guy that we've been calling a Nazi forever that, you know, says that he's not a Nazi? Here he is saying that the worst part of an open Nazi is not the fact that he's a Nazi. That's more evidence that Carl Benjamin is a Nazi. That was the angle that I saw the criticism coming from. And then he takes that and is like, they didn't outright call me a Nazi that time. They were more focused on the other people being Nazis. So they must have been calling me the reasonable centrist, because those are the only options here. It's like, if they're not calling me the Nazi, then by implication, I must be the reasonable centrist, even though the thing that they were implying about me by not complaining that they were Nazis in my post complaining about them is that I'm a Nazi.
But if you're the 10th person who's not a Nazi sitting at a table of 9 Nazis, there are 10 Nazis at the table.
That's guilt by association, Cyrus. That is a bad thing that should be avoided.
So, I agree with you in most circumstances.
But not when it comes to fucking Nazis.
But not when it comes to a group of people who have a track record of genocide.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, guilt by association is a fallacy. It only works if I'm saying you are necessarily this. But if I'm saying you are partly responsible for their actions because of your inaction, that's not guilt by association. That's just a goddamn fact.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, guilt by association does, like, in a lot of cases, is not really relevant. Like, I have had people on my channel that I would not want to be associated with anymore. So if you go back and you say, oh, well, he had this person on his channel, so he clearly holds the same views as that person. No, that's guilt by association. That's not really relevant. Like, I don't agree with those views, and I no longer have that person on my channel anymore because I don't agree with that anymore, and I wasn't aware of those views at the time. If you know someone is a Nazi and you're still okay associating with them, then at that point, guilt by association ceases to be fallacious and becomes like, no, if you're comfortable associating with someone with values that are that heinous, then you can't have, like, you might not be as heinous as them, but you're not a good person.
Enabling them.
You're not a good person.
This is also where you have to point out that the fallacy exists for a reason.
Yes. Yeah,
it's there for this exact reason.
That's another good point. Yeah. Stephen Wolf, who says, may we someday treat atheists like we treat racists and misogynists. Now, Stephen Wolf is a self-professed Christian nationalist. He wrote a book promoting Christian nationalism. So, like, what I got out of this is that Stephen Wolf is finally willing to accept and love atheists for who they are.
Because
I don't think
treats
that's
racists and misogynists.
Because he loves racists and misogynists for who they are. I don't think that's what he's trying to say. I think he's trying to pretend that they are against racists and misogynists. But you don't become a Christian nationalist without a bit of racism and misogyny.
You don't,
like, that's just not a thing.
If you peel away the layers of a nationalist, you will find a racist because they are nationalist for a reason. You dig far enough, they start thinking that country identity aligns with race. Almost every goddamn time.
Yeah. Okay. And I think, yeah, that's the last one. And we're running a little bit late, so yeah, that's fine. So, yeah. Thanks for joining me. It was fun, as always.
Thank you for having me
on. And do you still have Nazis in your chat?
So we actually started banhammering them when they stopped being fun.
Nice.
So they're not there anymore. At least they're not saying anything anymore. They might still be here. I don't know.
Nah, they wouldn't watch without being able to say stuff. They might actually learn something. That's not allowed for them.
Yeah, fair.
Okay.
There must have only been 12 of them, because I went from 150 viewers to 138. There must have been exactly 12 Nazis at the table.
Hey, I'm at 82 right now, and I'm like the highest I've been so far. So anyway, thanks for joining me. It's been fun. And as always, fuck off.